Something really dark is happening in Oklahoma City, and we had no clue to how crazy it was until we got there. Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Hold on to your seats because this one's gonna be a wild ride. Now, this was a few years ago, and it was wintertime, and me and my friend Chris had decided to go visit our friend James in Oklahoma City. But this was gonna be a surprise visit, and James didn't have any clue that we were coming. James worked at a delivery service, and sometimes he would get surprise jobs. Well, today he got a surprise call later that evening. So when we went to visit in the morning, everything was fine. But later that evening, he got the phone call to come into work. Therefore, he had to be by himself because one of the job requirements for his job was that he could not have anybody with him when he was delivering packages. So me and Chris agreed, and we said, hey, why don't you just drop us off at the park? We'll chill at the park for a couple hours, and when you're finished, you can just come pick us up. James was like, guys, I'm really sorry for this. I know you guys are my good friends, and I really want to see you guys, but I have to do this job. I'm very sorry. And we're like, yeah, no problem. We totally understand. Go do your job. We'll chill at the park, and don't worry, when we get done, we'll have a blast tonight. We kind of sprung this on you. We surprise visited you. There's no way you could have known we were going to show up today. Go do your job, and later this evening, we'll have some fun. We'll make up for it. And James kind of agreed with us, so he dropped us off at the park, and then he took off to go deliver some packages. It wasn't long after we got dropped off that mine and Chris's stomach started rumbling, and we wanted something to eat. So we started talking, and the first thing that came up was McDonald's. All right, bet. So we began to walk down the block towards McDonald's. That's when we heard it, a female scream, and our instincts kicked in, and we're like, did you just hear that? And Chris was like, yeah, I think it's coming from across the street. And right across from us was this really massive church that had these red doors, and the door was cracked open. And so me and Chris look at each other, and we decide, for some reason, we have time to spare. Why not go on an adventure? So we sneak into the back of this church, and what we saw was terrifying. There was a lady that was tied up. She was on an altar, and there was these people that were gathered around her that was looking like they were trying to sacrifice her. And she was kind of cussing and spitting. So me and Chris are whispering in the back, and we're hiding in the shadows. And it's dark where we're at, and the back is like almost like nighttime. It's almost like and they got these big chairs going all the way down that you really can't, that you can kind of hide behind. And so I'm like, bro, we got to come up with a game plan. I was like, how are we going to save her? And meanwhile, the people around her, they're making a lot of noise. They're chanting. They're oblivious to everything outside of what they're doing. And Chris is like, I got a plan. And Chris starts screaming and runs out the front doors. He's being as loud as possible. And I was like, you idiot. You're going to get us killed is what I'm thinking in my head. I was like, what are you doing? They all take off in a frenzy after Chris. They never saw me. I'm hunkered down. I am hiding. And I hear the last footsteps run out the door. And then I go over to the girl and I start untying her. And I get her all untied, and I'm like, hey, we need to get out of here right now. And she's like, I know another way. And so she starts taking me to the back side of the church, and there's these stairs going underground. I shoot Chris a text. I was like, Chris, we're going underground. I was like, Chris shoots me a text. He said, meet me at the nearest subway. He said, survive. And so I know Chris is doing somewhat all right. They haven't got to him yet. We're going and winding underground through these passageways underneath this church. Mind you, underneath this church was a massive cavern of tunnels and a whole slew of like area that I didn't know existed. So we're going, and she leads me through this maze, and we go through one hallway all the way to the end, and we take a right, and we go into that room, and there is another person that is tied up. And she's like, I'm sorry. She said, this is my little sister. So she unties her little sister, and then we start trying to find our way out of there. I'm kind of still worried, and I was like, is it safe to go through here? Are there anybody else down here? Do you know if there's anybody that's going to be chasing after us? And she kind of opened up a little bit and was like, I have no clue. She's like, I just was thinking about my sister, and when you rescued me, she was the first thing in my mind. I was like, I don't know. I'm sorry for dragging you into this. I was like, don't worry about that. I was like, we're going to get out of this and we're going to survive. We take off running through the tunnels, and we're randomly going through all this labyrinth of mazes, and we're going deeper and deeper into it. I tell Chris, I was like, hey, I text him and I'm like, we're underground. I was like, I hope you're safe, survive. And he says, hey, I think I lost him. He's like, but I'm gonna hide out behind this dumpster for a little bit. I was like, all right, cool. So we start running down the hallway, and this is one lightly lit up hallway, and we see some of the guys, and we're like, oh crap. So we go back, and we had to double back, and they start running towards us, and so we are sprinting, and we zag to the left, and then we zag to the right, and then there's this one lit up hallway, but it's got a dark area, and it's got a lot of turns at the end, but we turned left, and we go down this really dark hallway, and we kind of like hide in it. Therefore, when they went past, they just ran past us fast and didn't see us. And they go all the way to the end, and we can kind of hear them scurrying off. And we decide that we're going to go through this dark passageway, and we're just going to keep going through it. And so, like, we just keep trying to struggle through it. And I got my phone, I'm kind of trying to like see with that, but I'm trying to stay hidden too at the same time in case they come through that area and peek down and see my light or something, and then we're screwed. We come across some stairs at the end of that hallway that start going up, and we ascend up to the surface, and we come out upon an area that is by a gas station. The older lady introduced herself to me as Marissa, and she said that her younger sister's name is Zena. And I told her, I was like, hey, nice to meet you guys, but we don't have time to talk. I was like, we need to get out of here as fast as we can. So we make our way into the front of this gas station. And that's when I see the first sign of hope. I see a cop car situated on the other side of the street with its lights off, and it is facing towards this abandoned gas station that we came out from the backside of. And I'm like, hey, there's a cop over there. I'm gonna go over there and get help for us. That's when Marissa grabs my shoulder and says, no, that is not a cop. That is a lookout for them. We start walking down the street and trying to act like everything's normal, but then that cop car with its lights off pulls out and starts following us. And it waited for us to get 2 blocks ahead before it pulled out and started following us. So at the end of this block that we're on, there's an alleyway, and that cop car starts speeding up to us. And once it starts kind of get close to us, we fake dip into that alleyway, and it goes on to the next street and turns left, the same area, thinking that it went the same way that we did. We fake a double back, and we go across the street, and we run, and we make it 3 blocks down, and we turn a right, and then we're going, because across the bridge ahead of us is the subway. And I text Chris, I was like, I hope you're at the right subway. And so when we go there, and as we cross on the bridge, I look in and I see somebody inside the subway, and it's Chris, and I am relieved. So I go into the subway, and I'm telling him, I was like, hey, I picked up a few passengers. I introduced him to Marissa and Zena. We are all sitting there, and we're enjoying something to eat. We're trying to settle down and calm our nerves, because we just had a nerve-wracking deal. And we're about to call the cops when that one cop car pulls up into the driveway. I'm like, we gotta run. So we go out the back door, and we start taking off running down the street, and we are sprinting as fast as we can. And I'm thinking, this is it. And this cop car starts running after me, Chris, Marissa, and Zena, and we're running down the street. And that's when this other car whips up in front and starts hollering at us. And it's like, hey, Chris, Alex, Chris, slow down. And it's James. And James tells us, he's like, guys, I've been looking for you for the past 30 minutes. Where have you been? We are so relieved to see James. So we tell him, we're like, hey, there's somebody that's following us. I was like, we need to get out of here now. And let me tell you, James, being a delivery driver, he is a really good driver, because when you're on a time schedule, sometimes you have to deliver a lot of packages in an insane short amount of time. So let me tell you, James was on it, man. I tell you, he told us, he said, hey, hop in right now. I'll get us out of here. Trust me. And we did. We went to the next district and we called the police department to drop off Marissa and Zena and get a hold of their families. It turns out they had been missing for the last 5 months, but there was also a reward for them too. That money we gave to James. Me and Chris didn't want any of that. We said, look, you saved our butts. If it wasn't for you, we would have been goners. We finished up the night at James's and we might have watched some movies. We just had a pretty chill night, and the next day, me and Chris decided just to go home. Anyways, guys, that wraps up the story. Hope you guys enjoyed that one. If you're ever in Oklahoma City and you see a church with red doors, just keep on driving. See you guys in the next story.